Welcome to Umi and a Cup of Tea, the podcast from Umi where we discuss all things technology, marketing, hotels and travel. So grab yourself a tea, coffee or something stronger and we'll jump right in. Hello Laurence.
Hello, how do you do?
I do well.
Good.
At talking on podcasts.
Yes.
No, it's obviously this feels like the chunkiest topic and probably almost the raison d'etre of our entire business. So it's quite a good topic to get into. Now, this has been the primary subject of marketing talks in across the land at various hotel conferences and webinars and podcasts and all sorts of things for ages. But everyone has their own unique way of doing it, and certainly from an agency perspective, there are lots of there's just a lot to talk about because everyone has their own secret sauce, as it were. Mm-hmm. So today, and probably over the course of a few other episodes as well, we are going to be just exploring a number of the different areas within this large topic of direct booking optimization, and I'm going to be basically quizzing Laurence today, which is always quite a fun activity to do. So let's kick off with an easy starter for 10, Laurence. And why would we want to increase direct business?
Well, obviously, hotels want to sell rooms. And if we are an independent hotel, if we're working with an independent hotel, the chances are that the brand awareness for that individual hotel may not be as strong as some of the bigger, larger hotel companies. And therefore, a lot of your traffic might be coming from a customer starting at somewhere like an OTA like Booking.com, Hotels.com. So a lot of your traffic might be coming from people already quite a long way through their customer journey of researching hotels to stay at on those online booking platforms. And they might be, therefore, just quickly checking before they go ahead with the booking to check your website is legitimate and that your website matches up with the expectations that have been built up on the OTA that they've come from. And their anticipation is that they will check out the hotel and then pop back and continue with the booking on their trusted OTA platform, because they've got brand awareness there and they've built up trust with them. They've made transactions with them in before, so that's what they're going to do. We've got a window of opportunity to utilize that traffic coming to your website to take that direct booking. And so what these tips we're going to go through today is really focused on that scenario where you've got one small window of opportunity to ensure that the person visiting your website knows that you've got a really compelling direct booking offer and that you can have the best deal by booking right now and don't go away, essentially. Mm-hmm. So that's what we're going to look at. Perfect.
And yeah, in terms of the commercial reasons why this is important, is that naturally when you go through any agents' business models are taking commissions. So, what started out in the early days of Booking.com being very palatable back in sort of the mid 2000s are now very unpalatable at sort of 20% plus, certainly more if you're looking at sort of Genius rates and various things. Similarly, the long-term value of a Booking.com guest is significantly lower. Lifetime value is significantly lower. You don't have their email address. They're loyal to Booking.com, not your own brand. And so there are various commercial reasons as to why. Now, first of all, we need to be able to measure something. We need to compare, to improve anything, we need to be able to measure it. So what would you say the most important metrics, Laurence, are for to have tracking successfully set up for in order to sort of go on this journey?
Yeah, I think firstly, the mindset of tracking. Any time that you go into trying to increase conversions, you've got to have this sort of testing mindset and have some metrics to track so that whenever you think you feel compelled to change something on your website, that you're doing it for a specific reason to help try and increase a specific metric or conversion. So those specific metrics could be obviously the bounce rate. If people are visiting your homepage and then disappearing straight away, that could be that scenario that we were talking about. They've come to check out your website and go straight away. So yeah, it's legit. Now I'm going to go and book with the OTA. So we want to try and bring the bounce rate down. We want to make sure that we understand what conversion we're trying to increase. So we want to create a goal, maybe with the help of using Google Analytics. We can see the people that are going to click through to the booking engine from the homepage or from the booking widget. But you may also have some other conversions goals like inquiry forms deeper in the website for other revenue streams as well. You may want to look at tracking telephone conversions. So if you have a masked telephone number on there that is being able to track when somebody comes to the website and then books, that's an important measure for testing the return on investment on the website. We want to therefore look at the conversion rate of the website for bookings against unique visitors to the website. And other things that we can look at, because obviously once we've happy that we're getting people to convert on the website, we want to start looking at things like average booking value and average length of stay. These are all things that if you start tracking now, once you've started fixing the holes on your website, you can start looking at different metrics like that.
Absolutely. Good stuff. Yeah, and I think some of these are going to come quite easily out of the box. Certainly, revenue tracking, conversion percentages, and stuff like that usually will happen with an effective implementation of e-commerce tracking through Google Analytics. Things like average length of stay, sort of check-in date, check-out date, etc. Those do need a little bit more, a bit more customization, and that data sort of can either be passed into Google, using a few, a bit of know-how, or into a sort of separate database where we can start evaluating the search data rather than just looking at book data. We can start looking at search data, which is great as well. So Google Analytics can be a little bit overwhelming, and certainly not the most effective use of time for someone not in marketing to always just be diving into and rooting about. Have you got any other tools that might be good for just giving us a snapshot? Google Data Studio is looking at me.
Right, okay. That we might have to edit a little bit. Just
right. What time are we at? Let me have a look. 9 minutes and 7. Let me just write that down.
Oh right, I've even written that down, haven't I?
I mean, you had, but
yeah. Okay.
I thought I was queuing you up. Anyway, right. Let me start. I'll ask the question again.
Yeah.
So, Laurence, have you got any good and useful tips to finding this data that perhaps might be buried in Google Analytics in a very complicated dashboard in a really easy to use way? Something that might be actually beneficial to kind of other departments like sort of GMs or revenue managers.
Yeah, Google's Data Studio is a really good way of extracting information from Google Analytics as well as other analytics platforms, and then presenting those in a dashboard that you can configure yourself, so that you can really choose what metrics matter to you, so that you can present that to your team at large, so that you're not lost in the quagmire of Google Analytics, because it is a beast, and not all those things are entirely useful to everybody, but they're a fantastic tool. But Google Data Studio really does allow you to sort of focus in on what is important to you.
Exactly. And I think when you actually have to bring in the data that you want to know, it means you stop being too focused on vanity metrics. Things like traffic is an important metric, but traffic from certain sources is sometimes it's a vanity metric. Things as well like I'm going to start the sentence again. Yes, I think that Google Data Studio allows you to kind of really focus and refine what is actually important. As you were saying, Laurence, what you can do is you can just select the really important data points for your business and bring them through. So things like transaction revenue, the amount that we've spent through Google advertising, the number of users that you're pulling in. And sort of allows us to then move away from vanity metrics, things that perhaps might look good and might have a green arrow next to them, but if you actually question the overall impact on your business, it's not particularly significant.
Yeah, I think there's certainly significant metrics that you're going to that are going to have an actual impact on the business, whether that be through revenue or whatever. Those are going to be really important conversions to track, but there will be micro conversions, let's say, or other pieces of data, like you'll say, vanity metrics, that they can only go so far as to sort of influence decisions that you make, to build a picture rather. So the data can never tell you what the answer is, or tell you what design adjustments or adjustments to copy that you might need to make. They can just build up a picture of what the problem might be, or suggesting what other issues or what people are thinking, and that goes alongside other research that you can do, like user testing, user interviews, things like that. There are certain bits of information that just go to build a picture, and they're not as important as some bottom line metrics are. Mm-hmm. So you can quite easily get lost in thinking that all bits of data are as important as others when they're not.
Absolutely. So we've got a few. Let's start off with a few tricks. Now we're not going to get them through all of them in one episode, but it'd be great to go through the first few. So what would be your first, the most important thing that you would first address?
Yeah. Well, let's just start with this analogy of your website as a bucket, and you've got a hole in your bucket, and you the visitors are coming to your website, and then they're leaking out the hole because they're going back to the OTAs. Now, what we want to try and do is to make sure that we fix all those holes, because you've already got traffic coming to your website from the OTAs, so you may as well try and the first thing you do is to utilize that traffic and try and fill up some of those holes so they stay and book on your website. So the most important thing is to make sure that you tell the visitor that you there's a direct booking offer right here, and it's competitive with the OTA, and so you've got to sit down and think about what you give over to the OTA as your stipulations, whether that be the rate, or whether it be sort of more value-based things like the time that you check in and check out. And you've got to then sit down and say, well, what is our direct booking offer? What do customers or visitors to our website get when they book with us? And make sure that you can make that compelling, and make sure it compares with your offer on the OTA. Sometimes you can only match depending on what your agreement is with the OTA. You may not be able to beat them on price. You can only match them on price. So you've got to think about other things that are important to your ideal guest. And when we've done user research with guests, things like flexibility is a really important one. So by flexibility, I mean about the time that they can check in and check out. That's really important, and also cancellation policies as well. It's really helpful to know that if you can cancel or you can turn up at flexible times, then there's really no reason why you can't book on that day, the day that you visit the hotel website, because there's less risk there. So think about the things that are of value to the guest. It's easy to sort of think of other things like a bottle of wine or some flowers or chocolates. These can be appealing to certain types of guests. People on romantic breaks. But if your core customer, the customer that you want to attract is business travelers, then they're not going to need that. They're going to need that flexibility, and you should know that they can sort of have a decent cancellation policy or things like that. So really think about who your ideal customer is and what is important to them, and do some user research, and it's really helpful in finding out what those things are.
Absolutely, yeah. And I think being able to sort of compete on value very clearly, even if you can't compete on price, you can be creative with it. So obviously we've spoken about sort of early late checkout, but what about sort of show rounds or F&B or it's access to certain areas, for example. That could be quite interesting. The other point to make is that you can offer more competitive rates if you do it behind a closed community, in a closed community. So if you take signups and you have sort of logged in functionality on your website, you are able to sort of effectively close that community off from public rates, even if the hurdle to access that community might be quite low, and then offer a more compelling reason to book direct in there. So that would be another thing to look into. Great. Okay. So, and what would your next bit be? How are we going to clearly show this to our users?
So once you've got you've got your compelling direct booking offer ready, you need to make that visually apparent as soon as that visitor lands on your website. So have a best rate guarantee label somewhere above the fold in your hero image. So just so we're clear, hero image is that big image on your homepage that appears, what we like to call above the fold, which is essentially what is visible on the screen before you scroll anywhere. So have something above the fold that says you've got a best rate guarantee. That would usually be, you usually see that perhaps on the availability checker. So that goes into my next point, which is to have an availability checker, again, visible above the fold. And this can be, also, it could be stuck to the bottom of the page, or it could be stuck to the top of the page. And you can quite often, quite easily, have this follow you down the page by remaining fixed in a fixed position on the screen. So there's two things there. Make sure it's very clear by having an availability checker that you can book on this website, because it wasn't that long ago that people didn't have booking engines on websites, and it wasn't possible to book. And so just make it clear that you can book direct. And the best thing to do for that is to have that availability checker visible. And if you can have a very clear label on it saying best rate guarantee somewhere near the check availability button would be really useful as well.
Absolutely. Yeah. And if you look at booking.com and how they do that, they classify things in series of colors. So they'll have anything with green is a sort of risk mitigating factor. It's something to say, don't worry, you can cancel anytime, or this is the best rate. Trust me, all the sort of de-risking. The red is urgency messaging. It's sort of there to cause a bit of panic. and the blue are all the calls to action. Now it's interesting. You said there's the best rate guarantee. That's a classic Booking.com green message. It's reducing the perceived risk of whatever you're buying. But things as well, like it's in exactly the same category as don't worry, you can cancel anytime. It's in exactly the same category as that. Brilliant. So yeah, we've also sort of discussed the availability side of things. It is getting more and more possible to start starting to pull in and filtering out a user by the dates they're looking for quite earlier on in the process. Now, what I mean by that is at the moment it's quite a backwards and forwards process between the website and the booking engine, because if they want to book, they'll have to book now, and they go off to the third-party booking engine, put in their dates, find out that there isn't any availability or the room's not there that they want. They have to go all the way back to actually see all the room types and stuff like that. So start to capture the availability early on in the process, and starting to close the gap between the two systems and the user journey to avoid this backwards and forwards is going to be quite. It's going to be quite. It can be done with a bit of know-how, and really, smooths out that user journey, which is cool.
Mm-hmm. I've not put this down as anything in the list, but just mentioning that journey from homepage directly to the booking engine. Sometimes you can forget to spend as much time preparing the description and the images of the rooms on your booking engine, and only focus on doing that on your website, and sometimes you can neglect the presentation of your rooms on your booking engine. And one thing that we find repeatedly when we do user testing is that people look for photos of bathrooms and quite often there isn't a photo of a bathroom for a room or an apartment or whatever, and it seems obvious to you that this room's got a bathroom, but if a customer doesn't see a photo of a bathroom, the first question they ask is, oh, do I have to share a bathroom down the hallway with somebody? And it just raises questions, and as soon as there's any doubt in the mind of a visitor, a customer, they will think twice and then not book. So yeah, make sure you've got pictures of bathrooms and try and make them nice as well.
Good stuff. Awesome. So wait, hang on. What do you want to? Should we do one more point?
Yeah.
Cool. So we'll do point 4.
Yeah.
Okay. Right. How am I going to tee you up for this one?
So just ask me what else, and I'll.
Okay. Brilliant. Thanks, Laurence. So what else would what's next on the list of things to do?
Well, this one I would say we mentioned before about doing user research and chatting to specific customers about what they find valuable when we're creating our compelling direct booking offer. What sort of value adds can we add to this booking offer that appeals to them? And I think one thing that a lot of hotels don't do is actually really bring into focus that ideal customer. There's going to be one particular type of customer that you want to get more of through the door at any particular time or over the length of a year, whether that be a business traveller or a leisure traveller. And I think it's really important that you try and make sure that you make your website homepage, make it speak to them and the things that they're looking for. So that goes to whether cancellation policy or flexibility is important to them, or whether or not things like the romance packages are available. So the same thing goes with a location and a positioning statement that again goes above the fold. Make sure that we call it the USP, the unique selling proposition of your hotel, whether it be because you've got a spa or whether it's because you're on the beachfront. Make sure that you mention that USP above the fold, and also quite literally, put a location to where your hotel is. So it might be the best spa break in the Cotswolds, okay? Because if that's going to be important to your ideal customer, telling them that that's what they're going to get here on this website above the fold is going to make them want to read on. The danger is that you don't put anything above that picture, over that picture of your hotel, and it doesn't connect at all. They don't know where it is. Maybe they've just clicked through. They don't quite know where the location is, so they're unsure where it is or what the main point of the hotel is, and they can bounce off. So just clarify everything, and speak to that ideal customer. If you're trying to appeal to everybody, then you're appealing to nobody.
Hear, hear. I completely agree. I think with the key here is to actually I have no key. I'm just waffling.
Well,
I sort of started on a sentence.
Yeah. Okay, so let's just have a 3-second. So I think the important thing is that there's a lot of hotel owners, managers are scared of singling out one particular customer. You don't have to single out one customer at the expense of others. You can have another landing page that focuses on your other customers, but just be aware of, we call it that 80-20 rule, where 80% of your business comes from 20% of your customer base. You've really got to find out who that is and make sure that your homepage focuses on them. If you've got other types of traveller that you want to get more of, then make sure that you create a little call to action that goes to a page that talks about those specific benefits, so that when that person sees that business traveller call to action, they click on the page and then they've got a nice page that's devoted to the benefits that they're going to get when they stay. Then they are going to feel that this is the right booking for them. So all it is about a sequence of prioritizing the work that you do on your website. Make sure you focus on the customer that's going to change your bottom line the most first, and then move on to the next customer, and make sure that your website appeals to them.
Absolutely. Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for those insights, Laurence. We will be surely back very soon with some we've got a long list of things to look at.
Yeah.
So we'll be back very soon, but we just want to break it up into digestible chunks. So we'll be back in due course with the same people, myself and Laurence, and we'll hopefully deliver a few more golden nuggets and a few good tips to improve your business.
Absolutely. Looking forward to it.
Cheers.
Okay, bye.